Evans, I just wanted to give you a welcome. Thanks for joining us, and especially today when we know that so much is going on. I really appreciate it. Are you going to be on video?
Oh, yes.
Okay, great.
I am.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome. I think.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, we're really happy to have you. I introduced you before you got on, so your reputation precedes you.
I've been trying to connect. It's been a little bit impossible with the connection. I don't know what went wrong. Something went wrong, but now it's back. I'm back. I'm on now.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to have, especially, I think Natalie and Macollvie, you guys can address this as well. My last trip to Haiti was in 2019. The environment now is completely different, and everyone has had to change how they're working. And I wanted to just kind of dive into that. Natalie, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of the New York Times coverage recently and how you guys have had to change how you're operating on the ground?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me and everybody else on this panel. I'm a huge fan of everybody on this panel. Today is just an example of how unpredictable, as Andre said, things can be in Haiti, and so much more so for folks who are working on the ground every day. And so I just want to acknowledge that for those of us in the New York Times who get to work with people like Andre, we really do benefit from the kind of expertise and the knowledge and the wherewithal and instinct, really, that comes from reporting on the ground in Haiti and knowing how to evaluate a situation as it changes, and it can change so quickly. But yes, I mean, obviously it's very difficult to operate in a place where things can change at such a rapid pace, and where things, Andre can speak to this as much as me, when we do reporting in Haiti, we're evaluating moment to moment, street to street, the risks. And so, a street that was safe yesterday is not safe today. A street that was safe an hour ago, there was a kidnapping. And so, we're in a situation in which we are forced to be very flexible and to move very quickly, and to be really, I think, and I think Andre can speak to this as much as me, kind of aware of how we carry ourselves in each place that we go, and willing to really change up. So, flexibility is the number one thing on the ground in Haiti. You have to be very attentive. I mean, we have a security team on the ground with us, and you work very closely with folks who are telling you minute to minute what route you can take whether a reporting trip here or there is feasible, whether something has happened on the way that might change your plans. And so I think, us as reporters, we always want to get the story, and we always want to be there in the action. And the thing is, we have to worry about the safety of folks that are working there on the ground all the time. And so, I work very closely with Andre, and everything that we do can affect his work. And when we leave, he stays. And so, you have to be both aware of your situational security for yourself and your team, and long-term for the people that are around you, and the risks that you could take to get a story right now, how that could affect the people that you're working with when you leave. So, I mean, I want to open the floor to folks that are there for much longer than me, but these kinds of things today give you a sense of of a little bit of what we deal with.
I'm going to go back and forth with some questions of my own, but there's also questions coming in from audience members that I'm going to field. And one that's coming in that I think is appropriate to ask now. And Evans, I might have you address this quickly because there's so much to say, but in brief, just helping people understand the big picture. Is this a battle between the gangs and the government? Like, what is actually the conflict?
My understanding of the conflict is more elections that are citizens or that involve in politics or trying to take ground through gangs members, and that's been for decades. We had that problem that exists, and that it extended more in the capital because the capital is at the central of decisions, and that certain areas of the city is seized and is continually seized by gang members, and these gang members are all affiliated with different political groups and different social groups in society, and that it makes it worse because these are people that you're interviewing sometime, and that are affiliated with these gang members, and you don't really know what level the friendships are, and that it makes it a little scary and sketchy that dealing with politicians and that has leaders, they have armed groups on the ground, and you always worry about after they made a statement how they're gonna react after the statement come out, and that is scary, and then a lot of people are afraid nowadays to go directly to the problem.
Right, right. I want to pause for a sec to welcome Jacqueline Charles. Thank you.
Hi.
What a day.
Sorry, I'm on deadline, so I'm just dropping in. It's been a crazy day.
If we only have you for a moment, what is the most important thing that you can tell us?
I mean, look, it's interesting because everybody's sort of seeing what happened today, and I actually happened to have been on the ground at the airport, and I was on the tarmac. So, the point of view was very interesting because I was getting all of this stuff on social media from people about what was happening. The PM is stuck, is hiding, is this, is that. And from where I was, it was not the case. There was other things that were going on. So that's one of the things that I always say, with Haiti. I think that one of the mistakes that a lot of journalists make is like, when you talk to people, people will tell you something and they'll be very factual about it. And this is the place where rumors become facts. And so you really have to really just have your reporting chops. And sometimes you just have to look at the source of the information and then try to figure out, can you get it from someplace else? One of the big problems, and Evans can speak to this, is that you have a government that doesn't talk, right? So you're trying to report, like I'm trying to report on today, events that happen, and I'm calling the police spokesperson and I'm screaming at him. And I'm like, I need facts. I need, you need to give me something. And when nobody's giving you anything, it's very easy to kind of make a mistake. Or sometimes you have people who you think that they are in a know that they should know, but they don't know. So that was like a lesson for me today, because I know if I was in Miami and watching this, I probably would have repeated some of the things because I'm like, oh, you talk to these people. So sure, but because I was there on the ground and I was seeing what was unfolding, from where I was at, that's when I knew that some of the stuff was not happening. I think, definitely what Evans was telling you, I mean, everybody's afraid to talk. We get beat up by talking to the same people because they're the ones who are courageous enough to talk. Getting around here it's not easy. I mean, I work at the Miami Herald. I do not have the luxury of getting security and paying for security. And even sometimes with that, you don't know who's connected to whom. So you don't know who is keeping eyes on you. And sometimes I tell people it's not what you're paying them that gets your loyalty. It's you gotta find somebody who's loyal to someone else and their loyalty is to that other person. So it transfers to you. They're not going to be loyal to you because you're paying them. So yeah, it's sketchy. I mean, it's just, this is a very volatile place. Look, last week I was in the north, I was in Cape Haitian. I did something completely irresponsible, but I was on the border and I got caught there late at night and I had to go back to Cape Haitian, which is an hour and a half. So I'm on a dark road with no lights and you're in a car. But at the same time, it was a little refreshing because I didn't have, my heart was not like, oh my God, like, you know, that fear that you have, right? That you should have here. But at the same time, I was very much aware that while this is happening in Cape Haitian and everything seems to be calm, what happened today in Port-au-Prince, it could easily happen there. You know, it can just, it just switches. And you really have to just talk to a lot of people in a lot of different places and viewpoints to sort of figure out what's really feeling it. Haiti is what you see is not what you get. The best advice I ever got was from a former US ambassador who said to me, you and I might be looking at a car coming down the road. I ask you what color it is. You say it's white. I say it's red. We're both wrong. We're both right. You know, that's, you just always having to have that, you know, in mind. And also, you know, we're all journalists. We like to be competitive, but this is a place where you really have to rely on each other. Trying to do it one man by yourself, it gets you isolated and it doesn't get you anywhere. You know, those of us who are consistently covering with Haiti, you know, will say, hey, what's the temperature today? You know, can you go here? Can you go there? So we just always, you know, try to have our networks, but it's a dangerous place for journalists. I mean, you know, I'm still dealing with, you know, journalists that I've known that have been killed or have been assassinated, survive assassination attempts, and you just don't know it. Today, there are no sacred cows in this country anymore.
When you, last question, one question before, again, I'm just aware we might lose you any minute. When you look ahead for this coming year, what do you think could unfold over the next few months?
Look, I mean, I think the biggest challenge right now is like democracy is under fire because, you know, while those of us who are here in the foreign press, you know, we're covering it and we're covering certain stories. And, you know, yes, sometimes I'm writing 5 stories a day, but I'm not that local reporter. And when you have local reporters that in having safety issues and they cannot get into neighborhoods anymore, we are losing that. And that is not getting a lot of attention, you know, in terms of, you know, the need for these local journalists to be supported and what's happening to them. For the coming year, I mean, honestly, I was joking last year and said, yeah, I'll be back when they're like, you know, an international force. But after this week's UN meeting, I am not hopeful at all, despite the fact that everybody recognized that this is the worst that it's been. But I didn't feel that sense of urgency here. And today what we're seeing is sort of a meltdown in the police. You know, is it being manipulated? Is it being fanned by other things? Of course, but a lot of it is also genuine frustration. And you're talking about a country of 12 million and 9,000 police officers who have like really real gripes. So I think that just speaks also to the volatility. Like you just strike a match and it could just blow. I mean, you know, those of us who've been doing this, we just can't predict, because when you think that it can't get any worse, it does.